Hello, YouTube. Hello, TikTok. How are we going for our daily ish live? I had a break on the weekend, but my aim now is to do at least Monday to Friday. I am going to bring you a conversation that I am currently having in real time. I am responding to messages. I'm going to respond to messages after this live with my client around identity and the process of identity and why it is your superpower. Identity shifting and an identity embodiment is actually phase two of my woman mastery method, my framework. This is what I do with all of my clients. Woman mastery is all about being able to step into becoming the leader of your life, being able to stand for something and something, create a legacy, become self led, have a vision that you've created, and also being able to step into a series of self trust. When you trust yourself and you truly deeply trust yourself, you're able to back yourself. And when you back yourself, that feeds into what I just said about identity. That is something that is able to make sure that you are setting yourself up for your version of success. And this kind of segues me into what I was speaking about with my client today in real time. And it's all around the way that you view identity and the way that I want you to view identity. I think that sometimes when I have conversations with high achieving women, it's kind of like this notion that, well, I've been successful so far, so I don't need to do any identity work, or the things that I've done have worked for me, so why would I change them? There's almost this resistance to change, even though as high achievers, even though as people who are highly ambitious, who are very success driven, it's like, I know that I have a goal. I know that I have a vision. I know that I want to aspire to be XYZ, and I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my bones. I'm meant for more. But it's almost, I see a lot of high achieving women when we get to that point and we recognize that. And then it's like, this is why it's phase two. Phase one is subconscious reprogramming. But when we get to phase two of identity shifting in my framework, it's like this resistance of, well, why would I shift, or why would I embody myself differently if the things that I have currently been doing, they have been working, they have been creating success. And it completely resonates because I've definitely had periods of my life where I've thought that. I've thought, well, I've got success up to this point. Again, success is subjective. It's multifaceted. So one of the first things I get all of my clients to do is always to define what their version of success is. So just keep in mind as I'm speaking, there is no right or wrong when it comes to success. It's whatever your version is. But often the conversation I have with high achieving women, they say, okay, I want to reach this area. I know I'm meant for more in my wealth, in my relationships, in my career or business. However, why would I change what I'm doing? And this is why we can get into the process of working harder, of doing things more, of feeling like we have to add things to our schedule. Have you ever felt like you wanted to make a change, but to make a change, it seems so overwhelming and so over consuming, and you can get frustrated because it feels like you just have to add all of these things? And that's not the case at all. And so, what I shared with my client today, I wanted to bring on here when it comes to identity work is number one, always remember it's absolutely crucial. New levels, new devils. I wish I could say I made up that saying. I didn't. I actually don't know who said that saying, but it's been said in the personal development world for years. But new levels, new devils, which absolutely means that you need to shift. You need to look at who you are in your current environment, in your current relationships, your physical relationships, also your relationship with money, your relationship with work, your relationship with your business or career. And then you need to get very honest with yourself about how you are actually pivoting to meet the identity. And then what starts to happen is women often think, well, this is a bit woo woo. I just need to act like a different person. I need to act as if. And I'm not going to say that's not entirely true, but it's also not the entire picture. And the visualization that I gave my client today is, imagine however old you are at this point in time. All right, maybe you're watching this, you're 19, or maybe you're 35, or maybe you're 65. And just imagine you've gotten to this point where you're doing this work and you feel like you've been doing it for a while now. You feel like you've been putting in the time and the effort, but something's just not shifting. Like it's just not making sense why you are not where you thought you would be by now. Like, it's just not making sense. And to that, and I've heard this a lot, I would say, look at your identity in the sense of, if you got into this point in life, imagine you have all these layers on you. They could be blankets, they can be veils, they can be rug, like whatever. You just have so many layers on you. And I really think that when we're doing the identity work properly, what it isn't adding more things. It's not like add this into a bowl and add this into a bowl and mix it up and you're going to be this new confident version, or you're going to be this wealthy version, or you're going to be, this solo traveler. It's not. And this is where we eliminate the overwhelm. Instead, it's actually taking off the layers, taking off the blanket, or taking off the veil from wherever you currently are. And each layer is like another discovery. Like, I think identity work is so beautiful. I think it's such a beautiful process. I think it's such a cathartic process, but it's also, and as I was saying to my client inside of Boxer today, it is also a very confronting process. It is something that can feel like, it's like, on TikTok, and I know they do them on like late night talk shows, where they have like a box and you don't know what's in the box, but the audience can see what's in the box, but you don't know what's in the box. And the whole game is like, you put your hand in the box and you have to like guess what's in the box, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know, go look, like type in TikTok like SNL box guessing game, like feeling game. Anyway, it's kind of like that when it comes to identity work. It's because you take off another layer and it's like you're almost scared to confront what you're feeling or what's happening subconsciously and who you truly are. And this is where a lot of women lose themselves, because they actually don't want to admit to themselves, when they've removed that layer, oh, this is who I am, or this is my values. Or maybe you've gone so many years identifying, as someone that likes this and likes that and doesn't like this, and now you've completely changed, which, by the way, that's great. When you are changing, and when, especially, let's say it's like a friend group scenario, and maybe you've been in a situation where someone said, oh, well, you've changed, or like, you never used to like that. Don't take it as a criticism. Don't take it as a perceived bad or negative thing. Actually take that as a compliment. Take that as like the best thing ever, because that is signifying your evolution. That is signifying your growth. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But what most people do is they see that and they may get a comment or they may get some feedback, and then they put the blanket, they put the veil back on, and they go, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's too confronting. When I do this work with women too, what I see in their relationships, they're like 2-3 years into their romantic relationship, and then they start doing this work, the reprogramming, the identity work, and then they go, oh, I am actually really different. I'm actually really different, and it's not meshing up with the relationship. Is the answer to break up? No, not always. Of course it's not. And that's not what I'm saying. But the answer is to actually be able to explore all of the things that are coming up, to explore anything that is making you curious and anything that makes you feel a little bit icky. It's the identity pieces that make you feel icky, that you're like, wait, is this who I am, or is this what my needs are? Is this what my expectations are? Is this what my desires are? Those are the things where you're taking off the veil, the blanket, whichever one resonates with you, and you are like, oh, this is a bit frightening. And the more you take off these blankets, it's like the undoing of your identity, the undoing of everything you've ever known. And this is why I see so many women come to a standstill with their progress, because they don't want to do that. They want to skip that. They don't want to go through. That's what I would call spiritual bypassing. A lot of women who come and work with me, they will say, well, I've been doing the journal prompts, or I have been meditating, or I joined this like 30-day manifestation challenge, a couple of months ago, or I've got a new morning ritual, like all of this, but nothing's changing. Do you know why nothing's changing? Because that's spiritually bypassing. There is absolutely no reason to add things in your morning routine or your rituals or to do meditation or journaling, anything that's coming to mind, if there's not a purpose behind it. If you actually don't know what the purpose and the intention is. Even one of my clients said this to me at the start of this year. She goes, I don't even know why I'm going to breathwork classes. And I said, why did you start? What was the first initial thought? And she said to me, well, I just heard from everyone, like it's really good for your nervous system and it's really good to calm yourself down. And I said, okay, that's been proven and that is a thing, but why, like, what's the intention for you? And she couldn't answer. And it doesn't mean that that modality is the perceived wrong thing or you shouldn't do that thing. It just means that there's a disconnection. And this is what happens when we have a lack of identity work. We don't really know why we're doing things. We don't really know why we're making the choices we're doing. We don't know why we keep relationships around, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship, or even, family, that family dynamic and that family relationship. A lot of women want to have more money, but they don't question why they feel, even the word money can make women, high achieving women, feel weird and like freeze up. But they're the women who want more money or who desire more wealth or who desire savings or possessions or, to help their parents pay off their house. So really the purpose of me sharing you this is come from a conversation I've had with my client today that I think is so important, is like start to be more intentional with the way that you are living. And this comes into your identity work. It comes into who you're embodying, but also checking in with that and questioning, what are my intentions? Who am I really? Like, who am I in this relationship? Who am I in this friendship? What am I doing? And why do I have these thoughts? And the things that are too confronting, like when you start to peel the layers and you start to learn things about yourself that come up, and it's like, well, maybe, my whole life I got told this by my parents that I shouldn't like this, but I realized deep down, like I do as an adult. Get curious. I said to my clients, there is no point on judging yourself. There is no point in shaming yourself. It's counterproductive. It's going to take away your energy for actually shifting and changing. What you do with that is you just look at it and you get curious. That's it. No judgment there, no shame there. It's the curiosity piece. Like this is really like taps into the bit of like getting to know your inner child. Because if you observe children, they're naive, they're curious, they play, they touch, they have a look at everything, they ask questions. You ever been around a little kid and they'll say, why is this? Why? And you're thinking, oh my God, be quiet, please. I don't know why. But that's how we need to be as adults, as we're taking off all these layers. And, most of the time, women will get into what I call good autopilot, where things aren't particularly bad. Like you look at it on paper and it's like things are lining up, they're looking good. I've got a job, I'm making money, I'm putting money away for saving for a house, or I'm saving for a holiday, or, I'm helping my parents, or I'm being able to donate to a charity. I, like my job, it's okay. Or I like my business, it's okay. My relationships are all right. Everything's just kind of like this. It's like very like flat line. There's no low lows, there's no high highs, but it's just going. That is what I call a good autopilot. And that's always an indication that something actually needs to change. Something needs to be like, you need to shake something up to realize what's happening under the surface. And this is where a lot of women mistaken that, well, I am working on myself. I'm doing the meditation. Maybe you've invested in a coach. I've got the work. I've got the journaling prompts. I've, got my hot girl walks. But then they wonder, like, why isn't my money changing? Why are my relationships feeling disconnected? Why have I not signed a new client in business? Or why have I been trying to go for a promotion for 5 years and it hasn't happened? It's because you're spiritually bypassing and you're not doing the identity work. I actually go into depth on all 3 phases of my woman mastery method in a free audio training. So if you want that, if you're watching here on TikTok, link in bio. If you're watching here on YouTube, it's all in the show notes where you can get that free audio training. I speak about it a lot on my channel anyway, but this is why this is phase 2 of mastering yourself as a woman, because it's so important. It's so important to be able to take away those layers and get curious and not shame yourself and not judge yourself. One of the biggest reasons that women don't make the money they want, they don't have the business they want, the relationships they desire, or the health that they want is because they have this subconscious fear of shame. They hold on to this shame of not being good enough, shame of being too greedy, shame of being too much, right? As women, I'm sure we've all been told at different points that we're too much, or we're too much to handle, right? And so at the root of a lot of this is shame for wanting these things and wanting to change. How many times, as women growing, I know I definitely didn't, especially as the firstborn eldest daughter, being told when you conform to someone else is like, you're a good girl. You're a good girl, right? And it's kind of like, oh, you keep that in your mind that if I please people and if I'm doing what I'm told, and if I have only expectations that meet up to another person's, that I'm good, that I'm doing the right thing. And this is what you can only explore if you're doing identity work. This is why it's so important. I have a lot more also podcast episodes on my podcast, the Jessica Pinili podcast, on all of this as well. But just some food for thought for it's Monday afternoon here for me, but wherever you're watching from, here live or in the world when you watch the replay. But yeah, start to just get curious, explore. That's the biggest thing when it comes to identity. There's no right or wrong, but it's like if you're not doing this type of work and you're not like trying to understand yourself, rather than like, I think a lot of people want to like fix themselves. Like, let's meditate, or let's go for a walk every day, or let's have this fitness goal, or if I just hit X amount in savings, I'm going to feel better about my life, or I'm going to love my life, or that's when I'll feel successful. If you're having these thoughts, if you're having these feelings come up, there's something missing in the puzzle piece when it comes to your identity, your self-worth, and your self-trust, and your self-leadership, and your overall vision, really, which I think I'll do a live about tomorrow. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you. I have got to go now. Or else I'm going to keep talking. I remember like 3 days ago, I did a live. I'm like, this is going to be a super short live, like a 5-minute live, and it turned into like a 25-minute live. Thank you for everyone that's joining. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just coming over on TikTok now just to see everyone's comment. Thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate any questions. Let me know whether you're watching live on YouTube. If you're on TikTok and I am about to jump off, you can leave if you have a question that you want me to do a video on. Just go to my latest video and just write it in the comments and you can do that. But thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you next live. Bye.